I'm the sports professor, Rick Horrow. Welcome to Beyond the Scoreboard, Inside the Mega Events. It's a trillion-dollar sports business, to be sure, and about 50 to 60% of those dollars are wrapped up in the mega events, the championships, Super Bowls, All-Star Games, World Series, Wimbledon, tennis majors, golf majors, NASCAR championships, IndyCar championships, Ryder Cup. All of those too numerous to mention. I'm in my office to kick off the show, but I'm not here a lot. I'll be on the road on a weekly basis to bring you the inside tips from those major events. The balance sheets, who wins, who loses, the interviews, how you put on the events, and how you sustain them. This is all brought to you by Edelman Financial.
Money doesn't come with instructions. That's why we created Edelman Financial Services to help you with everything from college and retirement planning to managing your investments, helping you achieve retirement security. We're among the nation's top financial advisors. Come see how we can help you.
My name is Rick Horrow, and I'd like to welcome you to a very important moment in the history of public-private partnerships, important moment in the city of Pittsburgh and future relationships in sports. Just from a broad perspective, there have been about 450 sports, arts, recreation facilities around the country that have been done since the new millennium at all levels, major stadiums, minor league facilities, arenas, performing arts centers, and fields for youth to empower them. About 30% of the dollars, broadly defined, are kickstarting private investment dollars and then fuel the public aspect of public-private partnerships. There may be no more important opportunity than to identify a cohesive group of people who are singularly committed to building public-private partnership for the betterment of the community by focusing on youth, their fields, as part of an overall development plan. We have an all-star cast assembled today that'll tell you why they're doing it, how they're doing it, and most importantly, how they work together for the betterment of the citizens of Pittsburgh and, most important, the kids who are growing up in the city. I'd like to introduce first Mayor William Pedito.
Thank you. This is a historic day for Pittsburgh, and a city that has a proud history of being able to create public-private partnerships for the benefit of its people. I want to thank in particular State Representative Ed Gainey, City Councilman Reverend Ricky Burgess. Their commitment to seeing this project come through began several years ago with a vision that was created by the people of Homewood, a community-based plan that put an emphasis on the ability to create a campus within a neighborhood. A campus that would be centered by fields that had been long overdue for maintenance and, quite honestly, had been neglected. An empty school that sat vacant, but across the street, a library that had been reinvested in. The Afro-American Music Institute, right one block away. Community Empowerment Associates, the CCAC campus, and the ability to taking back this critical corner and making it into something that would compete not only against any campus for sports activity in the city, but throughout Allegheny County and the country. And I thank you for working together with the community to make that vision to where we are today, the next step towards its reality. The partnership continues with the commitment of the governor this past week, committing $1 million through the leadership of Senator Jay Costa, Senator Wayne Fontana, to be able to put that $1 million towards this project, along with city, DPW, planning, parks and rec. Also, I saw Jane Miller. Where'd you go, Jane? Who partners with us with our parks in helping to bring additional resources to this critical project. I also want to thank Frank Coonelly and Bob Nutting, represented today by Patty Salerno and Chris Ganter from the Pittsburgh Pirates, and their commitment as well to being a part of this exciting development. As I've said to the superintendent, when they're not in school, they're mine, meaning that we have an opportunity as a community to help young Pittsburghers when it's after school, when it's during the weekends, when it's during the summer in order to be able to succeed while they are in school by providing them opportunities towards success. And that's exactly what this is. Some may view this as a field. We view it as the opportunity for the individuals who will be using this facility and for the neighborhood as a rebirth of a critical part in the rebuilding of Homewood.
Thank you. Mayor, one question before you leave. Just wanted to ask you, as a mayor, everybody always talks about the policy decisions of allocating public dollars toward facilities broadly defined. The uniqueness of this seems to me is the working relationship of everybody on all of the different levels of government, along with private sector, along with the Ripken Foundation, to put this together. Also, people talk about economic impact. The empowerment of children to grow up and become important contributors to society is one of the most important pieces of the economic impact in this puzzle. Will you spend a minute talking about that?
Don't even need a minute. Whenever somebody's willing to put their own dollars into something that will benefit young Pittsburghers, we are only more than willing to match. And where that priority pushes that project up towards the top is when a community stands behind it and says, this is our vision. So checking all the boxes in this development, it has everything that you would want to see under that perspective. The opportunity for youth, you have to go and see Stargill Field today to understand that. See what kids are playing football on that basically is not even suitable for football. Then look back at the tradition of football within this community. See how it ties a community together. See how it brings young people after school programs and giving them an opportunity for a positive. Look at the cheerleading and the other parts of it that involve young women, and see all of this positive and understand that with a community's backing, with outside resources being able to come in, it only makes sense that the city would then invest to make this happen.
Thank you, Mayor, very much. And you refer specifically to community-based projects, a great segue to the Homewood Community Sports folks who really inspired this plan from the ground up. So, Mubarak Ismaili, the floor is yours.
First, I want to thank everybody for coming and holding this press conference for our organization. I'm the president of Homewood Community Sports. This has been a long process to get us to this point. I remember a little over 3 years ago, I reached out to another young brother from Homewood Community who I knew does development. His name is Derek Tillman of Bridging the Gap Foundation. And I told him I had this dream of bringing something special to Homewood because I came up in that organization. College graduate, that organization was instrumental in my development and my whole entire family's development. And Derek came up with this plan, blew us away. Like, it blew us away. Like underground parking lots, all this other stuff that he brought to the table. And through our community meetings, you know, we adjusted the plan. We had partners like the Heinz Endowment, Rob Stephanie, who was supporting us from day one. The mission continues supporting us from day one. And through our meetings, through our community meetings, we got to a point where we felt like this project was going to happen. We felt like this project was dear to our hearts to bring something good for the community, because the field, I don't want everybody to get caught up in the field being, the field is just the event, right? The field is just the event. This right here uplifts a community. This motivates kids. We use sports as motivation to help with, you know, their education, being a good kid at home with your mother and father, just development overall. Like, sports is the leverage that we have. So bringing something good to the community is only going to help every area, whether it's academics or just behavior or anything else. So through this process and this planning, we got to this point, and I want to thank the mayor, you know, for supporting our plan. And I also want to thank Curtis Martin. Kurt might not know this, but when I was about, he don't remember this, I'm telling you. When I was about 13 years old, I was at Monroeville Mall, and it was raining, it was cold, buses wasn't coming, and he see me and a group of my friends standing out here, and this is just the type of person he is. Didn't know us. He pulled up and said, "What you guys doing?" We said, "You know, we waiting for the bus." He said, "Where you live at?" We said, "Homewood." He said, "All right, I'm gonna drive y'all." Got in his car, he drove us home. So he's helping us back then, and he's still, to this day, helping us now. So I appreciate that from you. So, like I said, to the Cal Ripken Foundation, to Curtis Martin, we appreciate y'all buying into our plan that we've been working so hard for. Derek, you've been with us from day one, and we're sticking by your side through everything. You've been with us through day one, and I'm just overwhelmed with excitement. We're humbled. We're appreciative. To all of our politicians, Ed, Reverend Burgess, man, you know, y'all been behind me from day one, behind our organization. We're happy about this process, and, you know, it's going to happen. When everybody said we couldn't do it, we couldn't manage a project of this capacity, you know, it shows that if the community is behind it and the city buys into the community being behind it, anything is possible. I told everybody this is going to be trend-setting. This is going to be 60 Minutes worthy. This is going to be the project that everybody cites when dealing with the community and being transparent with the community, not trying to take over the community organization, letting the community organization lead the process. So I thank everybody that's involved, and, you know, that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Ismail, one more quick question for you, if that's okay. So you ought to be obviously gratified with all of the people who are here at every level of government. We have somebody, Dan Towers, who is a person from Indianapolis who is, through Cal's organization, written the first check as an outsider because he believes in the vision that Curtis brings to the table. So spend a minute just talking about the advantage of bringing in outside investment to your vision as well.
I think that's important. You know, you can't do anything without money, right? So that outside money is going to help the process. It's going to expedite it. But I also want to not forget about the people who volunteered. They didn't volunteer money, but they volunteered their time for free. Yeah. Like, we can't forget that. So all of it together makes this a project that's noteworthy. And we definitely appreciate that support. And I'm telling you, this is going to be Pittsburgh and around the country. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The Cal Ripken Sr Foundation has completed 78 parks in 22 states and D.C., impacting about 280,000 kids annually. And the person who's been driving that, in addition to Cal Jr., is Steve Salem, the president of the Cal Ripken Foundation. Steve?
Thank you very much, Rick. First of all, I want to thank the mayor and our friend Jane Miller from the Park Conservancy for inviting us out here and to be part of this wonderful project. As Rick said, the Cal Ripken Sr Foundation, we're nationwide. One of the primary things we do is we build what we call youth development parks. And Mubarak, you're right on. This is not about developing athletes. This is not about competitive sports. That's just a hook. This is about building these kids, giving them opportunities to be successful and productive in life. And the field is just, maybe an anchor. And, what Bill and Cal Ripken like to say is if we give, right now the kids only have, in so many communities, they have one opportunity and it's a negative one. It's a negative influence. If we can give them something positive over here where they can be with a coach, teammates, positive mentors, something to look forward to, versus the gangs, drugs, and the negative influences, they will always pick this direction over this direction. But they don't have that opportunity, and that's what we're trying to provide them. And so, how did the Cal Ripken Sr Foundation end up in Baltimore? Really simple. One of our board members, in Pittsburgh, I'm sorry. One of our board members is Dan Towers, who you're going to hear from in a minute. Group 1001 is his company, and together we're building 10 fields. As Rick said, we've built 78. Actually, we're now at 85, either built or under construction. And these are all synthetic turf, beautiful, beautiful parks. And Mubarak, I promise you, this will be as nice as the field the Pirates are playing on, the Steelers are playing on. This is going to be, Curtis is going to wish he was still playing when we're done with this thing. So we're building parks together in 10 communities across the country. And Dan said, you tell us where you want to build these parks, and we'll do it with one exception. My friend Curtis Martin has done too much in Pittsburgh. He's got a neighborhood that he wants to go back and make a difference in. And so that's how we ended up in Pittsburgh, these two guys. And their commitment to making a difference for these kids, it's just a perfect match for us. And so Dan has contributed $500,000 to this project. My guess is the field will cost about $1.5 million, which will include some programming. And Mubarak, we're not leaving after we build it. We'll support you in other ways as well, and it's going to be a wonderful relationship. I mean, can't wait to work with you. And so we're really, really proud to be here to play a small part in this. Mayor, again, I thank you and your team so much. Jane, thanks for bringing us in here, and we look forward to working together. Thank you.
One question for Steve. Obviously, your fields themselves, not only national, but incredibly diverse. Got 85 now, and I have to keep updating this every time we talk. But it's not just baseball fields, obviously, for Cal. It's multi-purpose, and as you mentioned, you have a program that's built into this where you have maintenance issues you deal with. This is not one and done, abandoned, and it's multi-purpose. Talk about those themes.
Yeah, you know, in these communities, we're trying to give them what it is they have the capacity for and what they need. And so in some cases, there's a big, beautiful lot, and we can put in a combination football, baseball field, which is what this will be. We're going to honor two Pittsburgh legends, Curtis Martin and Willie Stargell. We can't wait to do that. But these are always designed to be multi-purpose, not necessarily a baseball field, not necessarily just a football field, a safe place for these kids to play whatever it is they want to play. And it becomes a community gathering point, which is a wonderful thing.
Thank you, Steve. Every project needs a catalyst from the private sector to take it over the top. Group 1001 is an insurance holding company that its mission is to make insurance products more useful, intuitive, and accessible to everyone. But that's not really the story today. Dan Towers, the CEO, is a world-class philanthropist. Steve Salem told you the story about how he and Curtis conspired to give you a world-class field and projects. Dan Towers.
Thank you. It's great to be here today, and really just want to start by saying what a great group of leaders you have at all levels, of the city. The collaboration that has taken place. When we decided to get involved in this project, we didn't know any of that, and so it's just been a real treat to see how everybody's working together. Mubarak, you're so inspirational. I'm ready to go get a shovel right now, and and start helping out. But again, as a message that's been iterated already today, at Group 1001, we really do believe in the power of sports and education to empower people to succeed. Empowerment is a word that we hold central to our core mission. We believe it's so important, whether it's our customers, our employees, or the communities around the country. And we've seen that in other locations as well in small ways, which is where we got to know Steve Salem and the Ripken Foundation and some of the great work that they've been able to do. And so it really made it an easy decision for us to get involved and say, let's do more of them. It's the impact beyond just the players to the families. It really, those kids become the backbone of the schools, and it becomes very transformative, very quickly. We've seen that, and so we want to be part, of those kinds of projects, around the country. Again, not knowing the plans that you guys had already worked on here, the beautiful layout and all that's built for this area that's, so badly needs it. And again, thank you to Curtis. He's been a great friend, and so as we got to talk about this project, what it would mean, to the community that he grew up in, again, it was just very easy for us to get behind that and say, let's do that here, in the community of Pittsburgh. We got to walk around the field a little bit today, and just to see what the potential for the impact there. And so again, between the all the great thought and work that's gone into the project, the leaders that are involved in this community. We couldn't be more excited to be involved in this project, knowing that it's going to succeed and really will be a model for other projects around the country.
You've been involved in a lot of these, let's call them philanthropic startups. We're sponsoring a golf tournament that's primarily focused on training young women and tech in Indianapolis, building a number of fields in Oklahoma City, which is how I got to know Steve Salem and the Ripken Foundation as well, sponsoring an up-and-coming race driver with STEM and training in Indy. But when you walk in and see the plans that are involved in and created here, and this is just a small piece that takes the next step in a giant puzzle, how does it make you feel?
That's tremendous. Again, because at the end of the day, you want to make a difference. You want to see the impact to the community, to the kids, and to the families. And again, just to reiterate what Mubarak said earlier, it's really is about them and just about to teach them the lessons. It's really the power of amateur sports, that we're talking about here. And so, sports and education, that's the hook that we have to breathe into these kids' lives, to give them that hope for the future. Bright plans, and to just be a small part of that, it feels great.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
14,101 rushing yards, 3,329 receiving yards, 5 Pro Bowls, 2012 induction in the Hall of Fame. But as, if not more important, the Bart Starr Man of the Year in the NFL in 2006, the Ed Block Courage Award in 2001. If Dan is a world-class philanthropist, this is a universe-class philanthropist, Curtis Martin.
Thank you all. And first, let me just start by saying that I grew up in this neighborhood, and I've seen all of the things that go on in this neighborhood. Just to give you an understanding of my background a little bit, when I was 9 years old, literally maybe 5 blocks from this field, my grandmother, who was like my mother, we found her murdered with a knife in her chest. I've had several friends who have had similar results in their lives. We all who come from this community, we know how important something like this is. We didn't have this when we were growing up. We didn't have these huge organizations. We didn't have a Dan Towers. We didn't have a Group 1001. Of course, there was a mayor, but we didn't have this mayor. And I don't think that we had the vision that Mubarak has for these kids. Now, there were a lot of guys who really cared about the kids, but I think their caring could only go but so far. I think that Mubarak has taken that care to a different level. And of course, he's had the help of others. And I just want to commend them first and foremost. If I did anything, maybe I just sparked it a little bit, but I've done nothing in comparison to what these guys have done. So I just really want to commend Mubarak and the entire organization, everyone who has helped you for getting this far. Listen, I visited this field last year, and the house that I grew up in, there used to be about 20 of us or so, maybe even 30 in a very small home. So I took my kids, I have a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and my wife. I took them to visit the matriarch of this house. And on our way leaving, I looked over and I saw this huge crowd, and I said, oh, there must be a game up at the field. I said, let me show you where Daddy used to play football when he was little like you. So my kids are excited. We go up there. We get out the car because I see a few people, and they say, I shake some hands, and I end up speaking to a few people. I end up seeing a lot of my old friends. And Aaron Donald, who you all know, was across the field because I think he was holding out a camp. So I walked across the field, said hello to him, and I was there maybe 20 minutes or so. After I left, me and my family, I got a text that a little girl had just got shot in the head and shot in the foot. Now, fortunately, that little girl lived. But Mubarak and all of us, we know of a lot of situations where someone wasn't so fortunate. And so what you guys are doing, you have no idea. I mean, you see it from the outside, but you don't necessarily see it from the inside. You have no idea the difference that this facility is going to make in this environment. And I just want to thank everyone involved, because this is going to not only change lives, but it's going to save lives.
Curtis, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of other questions after this, but you have been looking at this for a little while, and Dan's commitment has made it real from your perspective. Yes. Then you see all of the stuff that's going on here, the public-private partnership, the commitments from the private sector and all levels of government and the community folks. I'm sure you're emotional about it too, but this is not a dream. This is now reality. So just talk about that for a second.
Well, for me, what's important is some of you may or may not know the story. Like, when I got drafted into the NFL, I remember talking to Bill Parcells on the phone when he called, and he says, "Son, we would like to know if you would like to be a New England Patriot." And I said, "Well, yes, sir. Yes, sir." And I hung up the phone, and all my friends and family were there, and I turned around and I said, "I don't want to play football. I don't want to play football at all. Like, this thing has been kind of a joke to me, and I just had the talent to get here, but this is not what I want to do with the rest of my life." And I had a pastor there, and the pastor looked at me and he said, "Curtis, well, listen, maybe all those wonderful things you say you want to do for your community and for the country and for the state and for the world, all of those big dreams you have, maybe football is just a vehicle that God has blessed you with to do that." And it was literally from that moment on that football took on an entirely new purpose for me. And because it was a new purpose, it gave me a new vision, which really motivated me to work as hard as I did to eventually make it to the Hall of Fame. I didn't know anything about the Hall of Fame, or I wasn't even a football fan. I watched my first Super Bowl in my rookie year because I had to go to the Super Bowl. And what I've been able to do is understand the vehicle that the NFL, the stage that the NFL was for me. Without the NFL, I'm not standing here today. I'm pretty sure this vision would have still gone on without me, but that's what the NFL has afforded me to do. And so I say all that because for me, without the purpose of being able to save some of these kids' lives and give them something to do so that they're not doing other things, football wouldn't really mean too much to me.
Thank you, Curtis. Appreciate it.